By clicking the sub-tab to the left called Groups, you're taken to the page where you can administrate your groups within Broker Brain. Groups are predefined in the system based on the area of responsibilities that your users will most likely have in terms of the type of work that they're going to do within your organization. In this case, you're pre-populated with an admin team, BPO team, closing, contract, HOA, MLS, and you kind of get the gist of what's going on here. The reason that we use groups in Broker Brain is twofold. Number one, groups define what capabilities a user are going to have when they come into the system. Can they delete things? Can they edit things? Are they allowed to view different areas within the system? And it also defines what areas of responsibility they have in terms of tasks. Once we get into the tasking video, you'll see how all tasks ultimately are assigned to groups first and users secondarily. And what this does is it allows you to add people to your workflow and remove people from your workflow in a very simple and easy way without having to remember who had what permissions based on the type of work they were doing, because in this case the groups kind of create an umbrella over all of the users and provide the access that they need to do the job that they need to do. So what we're going to do is go ahead and open up the admin team and just kind of go through some of the settings that you have for the particular groups. Now, it's important to note that groups are market specific, which means that users have privileges within markets based on the groups that they're a member of, because the groups are subsequently members of a market. And you can take a look at the market video for an explanation of how markets work within Broker Brain. So initially at the top, you name your group. Again, within Broker Brain, you can have an unlimited number of groups within your system to define things such as privileges and or areas of responsibility in terms of the type of work that they need to do. So you can add as many of these as you need to. Second, you have to select a market that this group is going to be assigned to within your system. And I'm going to work down, and then we're going to come back up to the top and cover those last two options at the top at the end. First thing you see below the market is the users that are assigned to this particular group. In this case, I only have 2 users in my system, and both Glenn and Denise are members of the admin team. And from here, you can check to add or remove members from groups either from this screen or from the user screen in terms of what group assignments are taking place on a user-by-user basis. Now, as we scroll down, you'll see the privileges that each group can have within the system. And a detailed explanation of what the different power users and privileges are can be found on the helpme.brokerbrain.net website. But just as a brief overview, a few checkboxes that will kind of explain how things work. You'll see that there's an admin checkbox, a reports checkbox, a properties checkbox, a websites checkbox, and a contacts checkbox. Those privileges define whether or not a user within that group has access to those corresponding tabs across the top of the page. A properties tab, a contacts, websites, reports, and admin tab at the top. If a user is not in a group that has those particular privileges, they will not see those tabs across the top of the system. Now, below the admin checkbox, you'll see admin users group, site owners, so forth and so on. Each one of those relates to a sub-tab down the left side of the admin screen. So you can restrict users to just certain areas within the admin tab. And so if somebody may need to deal with flags or preservation items in an administrative way in the system, you can give them access to that but prevent them from administrating users and owners and other things like that. The same thing holds true for reports, and you can allow users to run reports or not run reports, and if you give them reporting capability, you have control over which types of reports they can run: property reports, task, repair, offer, HOA, and so forth and so on. So if you have somebody that's working only maybe in an inspection role, you could restrict access from the financial and expense reports and property reports in general for that particular group of individuals. Now, there's a couple other, once we move into the property section, there isn't always a one-to-one relationship between property privileges and the sub-tabs within the properties that they can access, because for the most part we understand that people accessing your system work for you and need access to that information. However, there are some restrictions within the property section Most importantly, property offers will restrict somebody from seeing offers on the property. The financials can add or restrict access to the financial information on the property. And then we also have the property owner's power user, and in a lot of the power users are going to add additional accesses to the particular area within the system. And again, these can be found, and explanations for all of these can be found on helpme.brokerbrain.net under the groups section. So once you define what group a user is a member of and then define the privileges that they have, that will grant them the access that they need to do what they need to do within the system. And because users can be members of multiple groups, the individual users' privileges will be a combination of all privileges that they have across all groups that they're in. So the last two options at the top is a type designation, and this is going to be driven by the list of agents within the system. And BrokerBrain has the capability of restricting property access by agent so that you can have multiple agents within your system, but only allow them to see the properties that they are specifically assigned to. Now, in a situation where you set your system up that way, you may need support staff for that particular agent to be able to access those properties as well. And by typing a group, you can define people that are typed to a particular agent. So if I were to say this group was typed to Glenn Stevens and we put Denise Walsh in that particular group, then she would have the ability to see properties that I am an agent for because she is a member of my group or my team. And so that's what the type designation is for a particular group. And then off to the right is the public offer notifications checkbox, and this will define who will receive email notifications when an offer is submitted into BrokerBrain through your public website. And anybody that is in any group that has been marked as a public offer notification group, and then obviously the members within that group would receive those email notifications. And again, multiple groups can be designated as a public offer notification group, and if any user falls into any group with that designation, they will receive those notifications.